Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Johnny M on over here. It's lit. Okay, so today, this is what we're gonna do. First, I'm gonna teach you all how to ride a longboard or a skateboard. It's a skateboard, yeah. I'm gonna teach you how to ride a skateboard, all right? So it's called a skateboard because it's a board, right? Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and do it first. Cap back on. All right, here we go. So we're just gonna do it, okay? We're gonna put your like, all right, here we go. Shit, go for it. Ready? Okay. What I'm gonna do that. It's like a slow thing you do, right? Okay. Okay. Here we go. We gotta do it, right? Oh. What? All right. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah. All right. That's like. It was radical, right? No, it was not radical. It's not radical, bro. Okay. All right. Dude. All right. So now, okay. All right. So check it. I'm gonna teach you guys all about the disc. I'm throwing a disc. All right. So I'm gonna throw it, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, but got out of my way because I'm on my straight. I'm gonna throw it. It's gonna go over there, all right? Okay. You're supposed to get.
We're rolling.
Yeah. So what's up, guys? All right. So that some crazy wind came out and just like took my disc. My disc was flying, right? And it came back straight into the orifice of the pool, man. So, yeah. Yo, I'm the best, all right? Ain't nobody here about that, but here, Johnny M, out!
Do you want me to stop filming now?
Yeah. Wait,
Is that supposed to be in the pool?
Okay, you know what?
I'm just asking. The viewers might want to know.
Wait, come on, who's in the front here?
Why is this over here?
Okay, who is in the front?
Johnny M. Johnny M is in the front.
That's right. Johnny M's like, this is Johnny M's channel, okay? Why are you still recording? Are you recording me? Are you recording me? Hold it. Turn it off.
So I was at a wedding, and I was running late to this wedding, like even late for Miami standards. And so I'm rushing, I'm tying my tie, I'm putting on my shoes at the same time, and I go out the door. And I get to this wedding, I go through the ceremony, it's beautiful, I get to the reception, I sit down for the first time, I kind of put my feet in front of me, and I see that something feels weird. I look down at my feet, and I see that on one shoe I have my black, very nice polished wedding shoe, and on my left shoe I have my big, brown, ugly, worn down shoe that I wore from my uniform at Columbus. Immediately I just saw the mistake and I told myself, Alex, you're okay, nobody's noticed, and I look up and from across the reception hall I see my mom's eyes staring at my feet, and her eyes are just expanding. And it went in slow motion as she just goes, Alex, your shoes! And the whole room turns and sees that I have these mismatched shoes at this wedding. Now, I got called out by my mom. We all know how that feels like. And nobody likes to be called out. Nobody likes to be called out by anybody. And why? Because it's humiliating. So if it's so humiliating, why did this Sunday's gospel, Jesus call out the woman at the well? We're going to talk a little bit about that today, so stick with me and we'll get there. First, let's talk about what humiliated is. Humiliated comes from humility, right? So you look at how St. Bernard defines humility. It's a virtue at which a man, knowing himself and knowing who he truly is, he abases himself. Now, what does that mean, to abase yourself? That means abase means to bring yourself down a rank. And that feels a little backwards to us, to want to go down a rank. Why would we want to do that? Because in school, when we play video games, in sports, we work hard to kind of level up. We work hard to get to the next level, to get the higher ranking. And we do that, we work hard, we feel proud, we want people to know. So why would we all of a sudden take this step back? We want to show people, and it makes us proud of ourselves. And what's at the center of proud is pride. And pride is a deadly sin. When does that pride become a sin? It's the question that we always think. How can I be proud of myself? But is that really a sin? Where is pride a sin? The center of pride being a sin is that when you consider that you are right all the time, when you feel everything you say is right, that's where that sin of pride lies. And now when we think about the sin, the prideful sin, that deadly sin, we think of this sin as a loud sin. We think about the people who like to show off, the people who are arrogant, the people who like to argue a point. Even when everybody else sees that they're wrong, just insists on arguing that point. So when we think of pride, we think of these big, loud gestures. But pride can also be a very quiet sin. People who are self-righteous can be proud. People can have pride in their prayer life at a point of a sin, where they think that their prayer life is the best and only right way to pray. People with their religious knowledge can fall into a sin of pride even there, because they feel like what they think and what they know is the only right answer. So we have to be aware of that. Even those of us who walk in faith for years, including myself, can so easily fall into the pride. Because what happens when you're proud? When you're proud, you think that nothing is wrong because you're never wrong. So if you're never wrong, you never have to seek forgiveness. And if you never seek forgiveness, we become like the story of the prodigal son. But the son never realizes that he has to turn back to the father. We never come to admit we're wrong. We never come to find that forgiveness. So now knowing that, why do you think Jesus calls out the woman? It's starting to come together, but let's cover a little more. Let's look at her story and kind of see what happens. So Jesus is on his way. He's going into Jerusalem. He left Jerusalem. He's coming back, and he takes this different path. And through this path, he gets to this little tiny town called Sychar. And outside of it is Jacob's well, a well known back in the Old Testament, but he sits there. And the disciples go to get him food, so he's there by himself, and this woman comes, and it's about noontime. And in this time, Jesus does 3 big no-nos as far as like Jewish culture goes. The first thing that Jesus does that's a no-no is he talks to a woman. And again, it's a very big deal. You know, it's not like that now, but back then to speak to a woman, it was you don't really necessarily do that out in public. Second thing is he talks to a Samaritan woman. The Samaritans, nobody talks to them. Nobody communicates with them. You don't want anything to do with a Samaritan. There's Jesus by himself talking to a Samaritan woman. Number 3 is he asks for a Samaritan woman to give him water. To ask her to give a water. He shouldn't even be touching her. Definitely not touching food from her. Definitely not touching a cup from her. That cup should just get thrown away immediately. But he asked her for water. So these 3 things, we're all just thank God the disciples weren't around because they would have made a scene. But I think Jesus was here alone for a reason. And I think it's because he knew what he had to do with her and he didn't want to call her out in front of a crowd. So Jesus has this conversation with her. We're not going to go through this whole conversation, but some really interesting things happen as he's kind of showing her who he is, what he has to offer, this living water. And she's kind of doubting him, kind of what is he talking about? Where does he get this water? And finally he gets to this point where he says, go call your husband. The woman says, I don't have a husband. And this is where it happens. Jesus tells her, You're right. You don't have a husband. You have 5 husbands. You have 5 husbands. And by the way, the 6th one that you're husbanding right now isn't even your husband. Jesus just calls her out for everything that she's doing. And this woman, in that moment of getting called out, she has 2 responses she can do. She can get angry. She can deny it. She can become aggressive with Jesus. She can walk away. Or she chooses to get humbled, seeing the truth put in front of her. And this woman gets humbled. Humbled, humility. St. Peter shows us comes from the word humus. And what that means is to be on the ground. To be on the ground, just to be humble, is to be realistic, be level-headed, understand maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I don't understand everything. Maybe I'm not the best at everything I do. Maybe there's still a lot of ways that I can grow, a lot of things that I can learn. And in her humbleness, she doesn't come up with excuses or explanations. Oh, you don't understand, Jesus, that this was happening, that was happening. She doesn't try to do that. She just kind of sees what he has to say, acknowledges that he's a prophet. And then Jesus takes the time to teach her about worship. Because Jewish people, Samaritans, they worship in different areas. Jesus is kind of saying, look, this is not something worth arguing about. There's going to be a time where you can worship Jesus anywhere. Look at the time we are now. A lot of masses are not even open to physically be there, but we worship everywhere from our own homes. You're meeting in your own home or somewhere outside of church for your youth group. Jesus' prophecy coming true today. Now, right here at St. Louis, we have this statue. It's a statue of the woman at the well. You look at this statue, you look at how it is. Jesus is sitting there, the woman is looking at her, and there's all these holes in the statue. There's all these holes. What is that about? The artist is depicting that this woman is being seen by Jesus. Not this front, not her, I don't know if she was wearing makeup at the time. Not this, but this woman who showed up, not the clothes that she's wearing, but who she really is. This woman who has these 5 or 6 husbands. And she sees Jesus now. Jesus who sees who she is. Jesus who understands her. Sees the real Messiah. And Jesus tells her in this conversation that I am the Messiah. She realizes this. And her humbleness, her heart is open. We read a lot in the Bible about the heart of stone. What's a heart of stone? A heart that is prideful and a heart that will not change. But she didn't keep that prideful heart. She opened it up to a soft heart. The disciples came back. The disciples were like, Jesus, why are you talking to a Samaritan woman at the well? These are all the no-nos. What are you doing? So she kind of sees this as a situation to walk away from. She goes back to the town. She tells them, come see the man who has told me everything I have ever done. Now, why is this a big thing for her to say? Let's stop a moment and think about it. What she's saying here, she's at the well at noon. It's really hot at noon. We in Miami can relate to this. So if you're going to carry this big jug of water, you're going to fill it and carry it back. Everybody does that in the morning when the sun is still down. I don't even have to explain it. South Florida, we all get it. She's there at the hottest point of the day because she knows nobody else is going to be there. Nobody's going to be there to question her, judge her. The town kind of has an idea that she's doing something she shouldn't be doing. When she comes and says, see the man who has told me everything I have done, that's her confession. That's her saying, yeah, I've messed up. He called me out on it. But he's the Messiah. You need to come and get to know him. And the women brings these people to Jesus. The people speak to Jesus. They get to know him. They come to say, we don't only believe because of what you've said, woman, but because of we've met him and we get him. That's like us. We meet Jesus with humble hearts. He changes everything. He shows us. We go out. We tell people, you need to come meet this guy. He sees me because he sees you. He sees you in every way. He even sees the way he called out this woman. He sees your incognito search history. He sees the Instagram accounts, the ones that, your other Instagram accounts, and not maybe everybody sees. He sees all those aspects about your life that nobody else sees, but yet he comes looking for you. He takes a completely different path to find her. He may have come and like this whole town was changed, but he came to speak to that one woman at the well. And that one woman changed everything. That one woman caused the whole town to be different, the whole world to be different. Because instead of hanging on to her pride, she told him, you need to come meet Jesus, come get to know Jesus. So the question I have for you to think about, can you be humbled? Like really humbled. When I really talk about humble, I mean to admit that you don't know an answer, to admit that we're wrong sometimes, and we said something that we really didn't necessarily know about, or did something that wasn't necessarily right. Can we be humble and not just defend our mistakes? When we go to confession, say, oh, Father, I did this, but this is why. No, let's just say, okay, I messed up. Please forgive me. Help me to fix it. Can we be humble in those ways? When we can learn to soften our hearts, when we can learn to be humbled, allow the Holy Spirit in, yes, we will get that uncomfortable humility. Yes, we'll be called out. But the heart will break. The stone will break. And you know what? In that soft heart, that's where real healing begins. That's where the real healing changes. I'm not the one who's going to tell you about that. You're going to have to come back next week. God bless you all.
So what are we talking about when we say the word healing? Well, a lot of times we think about physical healing, but physical healing tends to follow a certain spiritual healing that has happened in someone. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about this concept of healing. We're going to be talking about it first and trying to understand that there's some of our language that needs to be healed so that our spirituality can be healed, so that we can be physically healed. There's a whole process to how we do this. And what we see with the woman at the well, right, is taking a step back, is we see that what first had to happen was that humility had to be healed. And then through humility was an opportunity for the woman at the well to be healed. That if she had approached that conversation with Jesus simply as just another conversation, just as another time where she's going to have her guard up, it wasn't going to work. No, instead, first, in the sight of the Lord, she had to be humble. So what does this have to do with us this week? Well, we're home. Jesus calls us to go into our innermost room to pray. So thank you for taking time out of your night tonight to pray with us. It's huge. It's critical that we have this time right now. There's no better time than right now for us to pray, to get on our knees and say, Lord, we need to come together. We need you. So I ask that you continue to walk in that humility and say, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to take my time, Lord, to take this time that I have away and not just make it me time, to make it your time, Lord, to make it your time, your hour, for us to know one another. And the only way we're going to know when the Lord is speaking is if we're first willing to be humble, to be grounded. So here's what's really exciting about the way that we're doing youth group tonight. In the description box below, you're going to see a link, depending on which youth group you go to, so that you can jump into a chat with us where we can do small groups with you. That's just an opportunity for us to literally continue this night. So those small groups should be live, and they're going to be live in the next few minutes. Click that link. Let's continue this youth group night tonight. And for the video portion, we'll see you guys next week right here at the same time, same place. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you can make sure that you're up to date. I really encourage you that in this time of physical isolation, you not allow yourself to be spiritually isolated. So yeah, reach out to us over social media. We're here for you guys. Whatever you guys need, please reach out. We're praying for you. We got your back. Go to small groups. We'll see you in a second.